Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is you're joining us. We're so glad you're here. I'm the Reverend Cheryl Butler, and this is Journey Road Ministries, where we seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. Today is Sunday, November 28th of 2021. It is the first Sunday of Advent, and we have a candle lit for hope. This Advent season, I'll be sharing reflections from an Advent devotional, Traveling with Our Ancestors, written by someone I'm blessed to call friend, the Reverend Shonda Jha. Shonda is an anti-racism trainer and founder of the Oakland Peace Center. So she begins with hope. About half of Christmas movies hinge on people needing to believe. Example of Miracle on 34th Street, Elf, and Jingle Jangle, to name a few. The first week of Advent focuses on hope. God brings new life into our world because we have hope that a better world is possible. Hope can be hard to come by. Maybe our ancestors can teach us how. To open our hearts to hope so we can prepare for the birth of the baby Jesus. Sunday, November 28th. A spiritual ancestor from the time of Jesus. The angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John. You will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth." Luke chapter 1, verses 13 and 14. Behold a man without hope. Zacharias responds to the angel bearing the news of John the Baptist. Verse suggests that he was so worn down that even though he performed the rote rituals of his job as a priest in the temple, his sense of God's intimate possibility had been diminished. This could happen when living in the shadow of an empire, Rome, whose goal is to remind you that you are not valuable, to strip you of your hope. A hopeless person could not truly support the creation of God's miracle. Zechariah, a person of influence within the religious hierarchy of his community, went silent, and the voices of praise could finally be heard in response. Voices such as his wife Elizabeth, who had been spoken over and silenced too much, and whose voice guided the birth of hope into a world that needed this so much. Today, reflect on where you are, where you have influence, and whether you are creating space for hope for those who need it. If you need to be heard, pray for strength. If you need to be silent so hope can be heard, pray for patience. Now we will hear an Advent message from Dr. William.
Well, good morning, afternoon. This is William Painter. Happy after Thanksgiving. I'm obviously not in my study. I'm out here in North Carolina on South Carolina Beach, I believe. Today's the first Sunday after Advent, or first Sunday of Advent, really. And so our reading comes from Luke chapter 21, verses 25 to 36. I apologize for the odd quality of the video. I think I can't get the light quite right. There we are, almost. Let's get this reading done. There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your hands, because your redemption is drawing near. Then he told them a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves and know that summer is already near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Be on guard so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that day catch you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole world. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place and to stand before the Son of Man. Thus endeth the gospel. Well, you can hear the crashing of the waves back there. And this is a wonderful piece because it is a selection about waiting, about things to come. And there are, it's an apocalyptic passage, is what it is. And in these apocalyptic passages, it's all about looking for signs and waiting for the end of the world. And you know, if you sort of take a look at our world right now, I mean, one would get the feeling that the end is near. You know, you've seen the cartoons of the people holding up signs, you know, saying the end is near. And of course, we're surrounded by a pandemic. We have had millions die. It has disrupted everything that we know. And now we have Omicron, I believe, the newest variant to come, and it is more infectious and has a higher viral load, and people are wringing their hands and worried. Some of them are, at least the ones who know enough are worried, properly so. And we think, oh, well, the end of the world is coming. The kingdom of God is near. But my interpretation of this passage is somewhat different than that, because when I think about the kingdom of God being near, well, I can hear children out there. I can hear children out there who are squealing. I can hear the neighbors next door preparing their trash. I can hear and see the kingdom of God all around us here. And I don't need the waves, and I don't need the earthquakes, and I don't need the pandemic to tell me that I must prepare myself. Because what does that even mean, to prepare yourself? Well, Cheryl put up a lovely piece on the message board the other day about faith, and how faith was not about creed or theology, but faith was about believing in things, believing that no matter what comes, that God's presence is there. And I truly believe, I truly have faith that when the time comes, and the times are here. You know, Luther thought the world was going to end in his time. And every generation has had, I can't get the light right on this silly thing. There we go. Every generation has had its apocalyptic prophets. Oh, the end is coming. The end is going to be here. And then it just never really comes. And I think all that preparation, all that waiting, instead of engaging in the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is, in fact, near. It's right here. It's in the sounds of those voices of those kids. It's in the pelicans that are flying over the water hunting fish. It's in the people who are here who are vacationing, and people who have been breaking bread together over Thanksgiving, thankful they're alive, thankful their families are alive, thankful that they are present. And for us, I think, we don't need to worry about the end of the world. We don't need to worry about end times or apocalyptic visions that never come. What we need to worry about, we take this passage that the kingdom of God is near because it's right here, around us, surrounding us, here for us to engage in, to be with, to demonstrate our faith that the words of Christ live on, even though the generations pass. Now, when you read this passage, this passage was written some 60 years after the temple was destroyed. Jerusalem was burnt to the ground by the Romans. All those bad things had already happened. And they knew they'd already happened. And so you have to scratch your head and go, well, what are they talking about? If they knew it already happened, why are they talking about it fixing to happen? And I think the message for us is our concept of time and presence and nearness is not the same as their concept of time and nearness and presence. I mean, anybody who thinks that, that the earth was created in 6 days is a fool. So if you say, well, the first day this, and the second day that, those are metaphors for a creation message, a creation myth that made sense to people. We have different myths today. Some of us believe in the myth of white supremacy. Some of us believe in the myth of the exceptionalism of America. Some of us believe in the myth that the end times are coming. Well, of course they're coming. I mean, at some point, Earth will devolve into an uninhabitable place with no atmosphere. It'll look a lot like Mars. But I think for us to take any meaning out of this passage at all on the first day of Advent that tells us that Christ is coming, it's all about anticipation. This is about the anticipation of Christmas. Advent, simply put, just simply means to come. And so it is a passage of waiting. But I think instead of waiting and anticipating, we need to be aware that kingdom is here. That kingdom is present. I read a funny little story about a guy who was a border guard. This is not true. And this woman every day rode a motorcycle through the border and had a box in it. He thought she was smuggling something, so he checked her box every day. There was nothing in the box but sand. And then his colleague stopped her and arrested her for smuggling. And the first border guard said, well, I've checked that every single day. What did you find? And the guy says, she's smuggling motorcycles. So I think that it's how we see and how we perceive that's important, not that we're looking for signs. The signs are all here. The people are all here. Humans are all here. Can we not be compassionate enough to wear a mask? Can we not be compassionate enough to get vaccinated? Can we not be compassionate enough to take care so that our fellow people, our fellow human beings, don't get sick and suffer and die? That's what the kingdom of heaven is about. Loving God and loving each other. Now I'm on holiday, so I'm not all that, but you should know that on this first day of Advent, there's no need to wait. It is here. It is near. You need to get up, go help somebody. Get up, go love somebody. Get up, make somebody some food, so that the message of Christ continues to live in our actions, not just in our hearts. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy first day of Advent. And I'll see you in about 3 weeks.